What is up, everybody? It is me, Above the Zero, and today with me is
So far away.
Jerry. Hi, man. So anyways, there's a new format for Esports Upload. We're gonna do it one take, Jake.
Every time, all the time.
And no matter what happens,
much we fuck up.
we're just gonna power through and yeah.
Just in the spirit of One Take Jake, who we killed last week in our horrible showing.
So he's back. Anyways, we're gonna start off in the beginning with the MTG Enterprise. Basically, MTG is a tournament hosting, tournament hoster, and
Wow, a tournament hoster. You heard it here first. Wow.
They owned ESL and I believe ESEA. And like, if you don't follow Counter-Strike at all, those are kind of like the biggest tournaments. So that they have the biggest prize pool. But the big news is they bought DreamHack, which is another Swedish company. And that was 6 tournaments. They had smaller prize pools, as like 50,000 to 100,000. But they kind of dictate the eastern region now for Counter-Strike.
That's Western.
Eastern. Sweden.
Oh,
Europe.
Eastern European. Eastern
So
Western.
they kind of own that stuff. Which is
They do.
don't fuck up, MTG, that's all I gotta say. I love my Counter-Strike.
Yeah, he does.
But I mean, besides for that, like, I don't know, that's a pretty big move for them. And we just gotta see what happens, man.
Our next topic is another acquisition in the LCS. This time it is new. Well, I guess not really new. This is like their 3rd time getting in the LCS, and then hopefully they don't fuck it up this time. But maybe under a new name.
Or get more than one win.
Yeah, maybe they'll get more than one win this time. Under a new name, Energy, Team Coast has sold out their spot in the LCS. And it was sold to the owner of the Sacramento Kings NBA team. They bought it out. The price has not been confirmed yet, but we do remember last month Dignitas EU was sold for about $1 million. So this is definitely becoming a much more common thing. Now Dignitas was forced to sell their team, but teams like Team 8, they just did it to make money, and I feel like that's the same here with Coast. Granted, over the last few years, Coast hasn't been the most profitable esports company.
My thing about it is the people that own these teams already have cash and they're willing to throw it away. I mean, LPL is a great example of that. A short little insert for that. Did you know that Uzi's in a bid war right now, and they're up to $7.8 million to split?
I did. I saw the article.
$7.8 million. Anyways, it's kind of like a playground for rich people. So if they're able to make an investment and then get a return on it, that's basically what they're trying to do. And like you said, with them being in the Challenger Series so often and not getting the extra subsidies and sponsors, which is the benefactor of being in the LCS, shit, yeah. They at least made their money back.
Probably. But in spite of being sold and us not really approving this whole concept of getting to the LCS to sell your team.
Well, the reason I don't approve of it is you should be getting into esports because you have a passion for it. It's not, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of money being thrown around, but that's with anything. So, I mean, it's a sacred thing, man. We've been small for a long time. Try to take pride in what we are.
Yeah, I don't appreciate it. I feel like it also kind of leaves some of the players out to dry, because the new management might not. I mean, we've covered all this before.
Well, I mean, there's a thing to be said about being a sellout, and the reason that content creators are being sellouts is because like they need that extra subsidies to just like make a living. I mean, if you're a content creator, you're not making much cash. Let's be honest. I mean, unless you're like PewDiePie and you're getting 5 million views for being fake as fuck. I mean,
PewDiePie's a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, he may be a genuinely nice guy, but I feel like his content is phony and he fakes it a lot of the time. But anyways, that's just my opinion. You can hate me for hating on PewDiePie, but like, I don't know, man. Like people, it's a struggle for those content creators that try to do it full time, and I mean, I understand why they sell out, but people that are owners that have the cash and are like, they get into it knowing that like they're not gonna make a lot of cash out of it unless they sell out their team. I mean, I don't know. They're
kind
like
of
the
seems
sacred
short-sighted,
holders.
you know.
Yeah, they're like it's a sacred thing to own a team in esports. But
yeah.
Anyways, next story.
Unfortunately, our message doesn't get any brighter with the next story.
Reginald, bro, what are you doing? All right, so let's talk about this in a timeline fashion. All right.
All right.
So in the beginning of the LCS split, Loco Doco is the coach. Then through TSM Legends, you see kind of issues between Bjergerson and Loco Doco and how they interact and yada yada. And then like 3/4 of the way through the season, Reginald kind of sits down the whole team is like, Loco Doco, you are not going to be the coach anymore. I'm taking over the team. And basically saying, I know I haven't coached ever, but I can pick it up and I can do better than you. Right?
Yeah.
So he does that with Loco Doco. And then, like you may know, there are 2 or 3 more major CSGO tournaments coming in. And you know that Reginald owns the CSGO team. He tells the manager, hey, by the way, this is your last tournament. And he says, you're going to be fired before the tournament. And all the players know that. He's the only management for the CSGO team. And
he tells him before the tournament that immediately after the tournament, his position will be terminated. So, what kind of image does that set up for your players and coach heading into this actual...
Yeah, I mean, it's the last month of the year, and there's like 3 more majors. Like, there's a lot more cash on the line, and obviously, maybe there's some like differences between the players and the manager that just can't be settled out. But do it through the end of the year or replace him. He hasn't even said that he is willing, or like he has a replacement in place. Like if you're willing to fire the manager, what does that say to the players? Like, if you mess up, you're gone too?
Yeah, I just feel like Reginald is just a very arrogant personality, and every single time he makes a decision, he goes with his first decision. He doesn't think about it anymore. He just makes a call and then immediately acts on that call. And that is really arrogant, and a lot of times it doesn't work out for him. Like, look how poor TSM is right now. I mean, they've got Doublelift and Bjergsen, but Doublelift was removed from CLG for a reason, if you ask me. And they didn't perform well last split, and I don't think there's good things coming for them in the future, so...
I don't know, maybe he feels like he's getting enough of that Six Skrilla from Riot Games, and he doesn't need a CSGO division, but I mean...
I don't think he's looking to get rid of his CSGO team, but I think he's definitely leaving them out to dry like this. He needs to get somebody to replace their manager. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
But, our next story involves the DraftKings and FanDuel fantasy esports. Now, I'm sure we've all been spammed constantly by ads about Draft Dogs fantasy football and all those things, and it's just really annoying watching all these commercials all the time. Now, John and I, we live in New York State, and right now there's a lawsuit going on where they're trying to not limit, but ban these online fantasy esports and actual like football and all those things. They're trying to ban those only in New York, because New York has its own laws and legislature about gambling and all that stuff that makes this illegal. That's what the Congress and whatever that's what their point is. It's illegal in New York, so we cannot allow that. But I think they're gonna have a hard-ass time banning that in just New York. I'm not sure if that means that companies and teams with sponsorships from DraftKings or FanDuel will need to alter their scheme in order to stop people in New York from being advertised, or if they'll still just blanket advertise and people in New York will just have to deal with it, or what's going to happen. But it seems like it'll be difficult for them to put some sort of limit on.
Well, I mean, here's my thing on it. We all see what's happening with the Pirate Bay and people trying to police that. Pirating is a thing, yeah, we know that. But I mean, you can't really police the internet. It started at .com, then it moved to .net, then it moved to .sx, and it moved to .se. You can make a new browser, you can make a new URL, you can take the same website, move it to a different provider, you can move the server. There's a shit ton of stuff you can do. You can't really police the internet. I mean, even just making a band in New York, like, what? You can just make a proxy and move it out of New York. Like, I don't understand this. I really don't.
I think it's a bit irrational for the government to try and put a limit on this. I mean, it's supposedly for the good of the people, where if they're tempted to gamble like this, they just won't be able to. But I think that's bogus, and I also don't. If they were going to put a limit on it, I think the only way that they would be able to do that is like using your credit card information to, when you type it into the website, that'll somehow show them where you are, so you won't be able to if you live in New York or something like that. But it's so difficult for them to put some sort of ban in just a specific area of the United States.
I mean, here's the thing, like, just like a banning gambling example. Have you ever heard of Easy Skins?
Yeah.
So in Britain, they did a complete ban on Easy Skins, which means you can't go to the URL, yada yada, this and that. Another thing that they tried doing through their ISPs is banning porn. So it was like an opt-in system where you could call in and be like, hey, I want porn, or hey, I don't want porn, whatever. But it didn't just ban, here's the thing, it didn't just ban like Pornhub or X Hamster or whatever the fuck it is, right? It banned everything that, like, anything that had to do with like STDs, like even how to avoid it, or like self-help or stuff like that. It banned everything. So if they're trying to put a ban on FanDuel and that, since there's fantasy football, it may put a ban on ESPN, which means we can't go to ESPN, we can't go to this, we can't go to that, which will be getting rid of like a whole bunch of services on the internet, like just provided to New York. Which, I mean, if they do it, it's really fucking lame. I gotta be honest.
Yeah. I think they'll find some sort of better way to isolate FanDuel and Draft Dogs and all these other, or DraftKings rather, and all these other places, but it'll definitely be difficult. I'm not sure how they'll be able to do it, but anyway, moving on to our next and final spiel.
Alright. This one is for me. There isn't really an article put with this.
Well, we can link the trailer.
Alright, yeah. So basically, you see, it's Blizzard Entertainment. There's a couple of points that I want to make about this. Number one, the World of Warcraft movie. I showed John the trailer. What did you think about it?
It seems like a movie. I don't know too much about the story. Alright, that didn't come off very intelligent. But I don't know too much about the story of World of Warcraft or anything, but it doesn't really seem like it's a movie for the gamers. And I think that's the smart thing for them to do. It seems like it's a movie to get the attention of people who watch movies, not people who play World of Warcraft. They already know that the people who play World of Warcraft are going to go see that movie no matter what. Their goal isn't to get them in the theater. Their goal is to get everybody else in the theater. And that's tough to do, especially since that's tough to do if you're making a whole bunch of references that only people that play the game are going to know. So, I think it seems like a respectable movie. And you're upset because the movie was delayed for a while.
I wanted to watch it when it first came out. I think it was announced in 2011 or 2012. And they kept on postponing it, kept on postponing it. And now they finally give us a trailer. The presentation was absolutely fucking bogus, if you didn't watch it, by the way. We'll just put like the part with the trailer in there. But the the presentation was bogus. I feel like the CGI that they showed us was
It wasn't that bad.
it was alright, but I mean
Thought it was
for
respectable.
6 years of production, I mean I'm expecting
Better than
I'm-
like
yeah.
Shrek.
I'm expecting better than Shrek.
I mean, it was better than. I mean, I honestly expected the orcs to look like Shrek when you told me they were making a Warcraft movie. I was like, oh, they gonna make little Shreks, but they weren't. I mean, it looked really good.
I don't know. And I feel like the story, from what we can tell from the trailer, orcs going against orcs, helping humans, that they survive. I mean, I don't know. We've seen this shit multiple times. We've seen the Final Fantasy movies fail, Resident Evil. Like, there's just so many things that, like, from games to movies or movies to games that have just failed. It puts a bad taste in my mouth when I think about this.
Actually, there's a pretty good explanation of why video game movies fail. It's on another YouTube channel. I'm sure other people have seen that YouTube channel before, but it's the reason video game movies fail is because you lose an element of interaction. When you're watching a movie, you're watching the people in the movie make decisions for themselves. But when you play a video game, you make those decisions. So when you take that video game and turn it into a movie, you don't get to make those decisions anymore. So all these possibilities are lost, and you only get to see one possible outcome. And that's kind of why video game movies fail, because they struggle to show all of the possibilities. Granted, this isn't a movie for gamers. It's not going to be a movie for gamers. It's going to be a movie for people who like to watch movies. Because they don't care if the gamers go to see the movie. They already know the gamers are going to see it. It's just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. People who read the comic books hate those movies. But they go to see every movie. It's just going to happen. People who love Warcraft are going to see this movie no matter how trash it is.
Alright, well, now you know both sides of that. Number 2 is Blizzard. I'm sorry about my dog, by the way.
I'm going to take Jake.
Blizzard, they have been at the forefront of esports from the beginning. It started off with StarCraft in Korea, then Warcraft, and then StarCraft 2. They've been at the beginning, then League of Legends came up, became popular, and now they're, like, League of Legends up here, and then, like, Blizzard, like, down there.
No, he's saying League of Legends, not Riot Games.
Yeah. So, I think their model is absolutely brilliant, especially with Hearthstone. Now, to set this up, they're finally seeing memberships fail in World of Warcraft because, first of all, you have to pay for the game, then you have to pay for all the expansions, then you have to pay a monthly subscription, and so you can't play for 2 weeks, then that's gone. Like, they're finally seeing the membership of World of Warcraft start to fall off, and they wanted to make another game with another esport, which they could, like, just they wanted to evolve, and Hearthstone was the beginning of that, which was an absolutely brilliant game. It's a free to play.
Pay to win.
Pay to win. But the way the model worked, they got League of Legends streamers, which is the most popular on Twitch. They get the most view time, and they got them to play it. And I mean, it's really good for in between queues because when you get to Challenger, queues are from 10 to 20 minutes, and you can play a couple of games. And if you were sitting there watching the stream in the beginning when Hearthstone was like in beta or starting to come out, you were like, oh, what's this game? To look it up and be like, oh, it's free to play, maybe I'll give it a try. And then you play it. Now you get that base amount of viewers watching it. And I mean, you're gonna start watching Hearthstone streams because you want to get better, you want to be better, you just want to watch with entertainment from games that you enjoy. Once you build up that viewership and that player base, you can have the tournaments, and you get the sponsorships. You get bigger sponsorships, and it was a really good model for how to set up an esport.
Yeah.
Got anything to say about it?
I think Hearthstone is pay to win, and everybody who wins is a cheater. I'm kidding. I agree with you. I think the Hearthstone model is really well put together. The fact that it's so easily accessible and anybody can play it, and it's just like, it's easy to get into, and like,
Yeah.
anybody can get good at that game if you have money. I really, I don't know. I enjoy playing it even though I don't have money. But yeah. Moving on to the.
So, the second part of their evolution is Overwatch. They're planning on making a tournament in like the first month or two of it being available.
There was a tournament this past week.
Oh, there was?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was on the 15th of November.
Alright, well anyways,
or maybe the 14th.
They want this to be like the forefront of their esports thing because StarCraft is, let's be honest, dead. So, I mean, not following the Hearthstone model is high specs. It's only multiplayer. There is no single player. If you don't know the prices, when it's finally going to come out, it's going to be $45 on PC. It's going to be $60 on console. I mean, I don't know. They completely went the opposite direction of what was successful in the past.
Yeah, it really does seem like they've done a U-turn, but I feel like maybe they're just kind of like, I want to say testing the waters. That's exactly what I want to say, but at the same time, Overwatch is just such a huge investment. That's like $1 million investment into this game, and if it's just testing the waters and it doesn't work, that they're out a shit ton of money. But I maybe it is like an earnest like shot at competing with like League of Legends and CS:GO and all these other top esports. But earlier we were discussing this, and you mentioned how first-person shooters is already a very saturated market. What with Call of Duty, CS:GO, you got Battlefield in there. There's lots of already really well-established first-person shooters, and trying to get into that market might be a bit of a step that's too risky for them to consider taking, even though they've already considered and are going to take that step.
I mean, that honestly, that's why Riot was able to be so successful with League of Legends. The only really competitor there was Dota.
Yeah, at the time, it was only Dota, and it was Dota 1 before Dota was actually, like, even its own game.
And people saw, oh, what's this? And then they started playing this because it's also free to play and low specs, like what we said with Hearthstone, and people picked it up and they were like, hey, I enjoy this. I'll play it.
And unlike Hearthstone, it is not pay to win. It's just you need to have 5 people on your team instead of only 4.
But I don't know. Like,
talking about that Ari from last night left my game.
Calm down, bud. So I don't know. They've done a complete U-turn. Who knows? Maybe they'll. I mean, don't get me wrong. The game looks beautiful. It's entertaining to watch. There aren't any bugs. I mean, don't get me wrong. Blizzard makes amazing games. We know that. There have been multiple examples, but
we're just a bit worried.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I believe that's it, though. Yeah,
that'll just about wrap up this week's episode of Esports Upload. We definitely talked about a lot today. Took a lot of time, took our time, and hope you guys really enjoyed our time. That was really good.
I don't think anybody's going to be here to watch that.
Yeah, probably not. But if you are, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Actually, make sure you do comment. I really want to see how many people are actually watching to the end. So if you hear this, comment like Penelope or something.
Yeah, that'll be the word.
Yeah,
and then if you copy that just from the comments, I want you to say, copied from comments Penelope.
Boom.
But I watched the end of the video.
There you go. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to see. So, as usual, all of our links will be in the description below, and if you have any more suggestions for us in the upcoming weeks, be sure to post them there and we'll read all of them. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and Penelope.
Have a good one.
Adios, amigo.